chapters of the Holy Quran, so it is good to go over them. So today I will, inshallah, begin with the Surah Nasr first, and then I'll go all the way to Surah Nas. I will go over the verse first, and then I'll explain some of the rules. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So the first verse is Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and as we all know, this is before every chapter we recite this verse, and there's not many rules to this verse, and so we'll move on to the next verse, which is إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ. Okay, in this verse there's not a lot to look at, but certain letters in the Arabic language have different makharijes. They're called makharijes. You pronounce these letters differently. So in our language, in Urdu language, we have a lot of ze, zal, and zoin. They all pronounce the same. But in Arabic language, when we say the letter zal, that comes out with our tongue. So we say idha. You pull out your tongue and you say idha. The only reason Arabs have different way of pronouncing these letters is to make them different. So in Urdu language, when you say something with zal or zoin, there's no difference in that. You guys could probably give me examples of those, but in Arabic language, zal, zoin, and zod, they all sound differently. Okay, so idha with the tongue out. Idha jaa nasru, and then swad. Sin and swad, they're very similar in Urdu language also. So when we say our swad, in Arabs, they have a very thick swad. Instead of sin, they say swad. So إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ. And then the hay sound. The ha sound comes from the throat, the halaq. This is one of the harufe halki. So you bring it from your throat and outwards. So ha. Okay. And then we'll move on to the second verse. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. So in this verse, we'll look at something called gunna. Gunna, as you can see, whenever there's a noon or a meme, that's where you do gunna. Okay? So where you see the noon, in this case, noon and meme, which has shadda on top of it. Okay? They're called gunnas. So وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ. So with the gunna rule, you have to prolongate the noon for 2 to 3 seconds, and no longer than that. So وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ. So it goes either 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And then يَدْخُلُونَ. The dal in this case is harufe kalkala. There are actually 5 harufe kalkala, which are qaf, toin, been, be, jim, and dal. So dal is one of the harufe kalkala, and with the harufe kalkala, what you do is you echo the sound. So echoing the sound means like yad. You have like a little, the ending part is yad instead of just yad. So yad. So وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. And the rest is pretty much the same. And then we'll move on to the next verse. فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا. So saying the gunna comes here again, the inna. So you prolong it, the inna, for 2 to 3 seconds, and then you move on. So these 3 rules in particular. So first we went over makharij, how different letters sound in the Arabic language, and then we went over gunna. So could you scroll up? So gunna in the second verse is wara'aytan nasa, and then we went over huruf qalqala. One of the letter of qalqala is dal, so you would echo the sound of dal. So that is in the same verse number 2, and then we went over another gunna, which is in verse number 3. Scroll to verse number 3. Yeah. Innahu. Yeah. And then we'll move on to the next chapter. You can scroll down and. So I'll recite this chapter and then we'll go over the rules. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته حمالة الحطب في جيدها حبل من مسد. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the first verse, as you can see, we have one huruf qalqala, which is ba. So in this case, ba has a fatha on top of it. But once you end a verse, the fatha turns into a sukoon. So, tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Okay. And then there's another rule in this which we haven't went over, which is called idgham. Idghams are 4 letters: alif, waw, ye, and noon. So these letters, whenever you see these letters and they have a shadda on top of it, that means you will merge those 2 letters. So lahabiyum, the bay and the waw are merging in this case. So the bay has tanween. If it was just bay and then waw, it would be lahabin watab. But in this case, the bay and the waw are merging. So you have to pronounce it like bium. Okay? And then next verse is ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. So there's one rule in this. So sorry, okay, you're on verse 2. Okay, good. So kasab, how you see how I echoed the last the bay, right? The only reason there's a fatha on the bay, but when I said that once you stop at the verse, the bay turns into a sukoon. So kasab. And then the next verse. So yasla naran that lahab. Okay. In this one again, the what do you call it? Huruf qalqala thing. The bay lahab. And the next verse. وَامْرَأَتُهُ حَمَّالَةَ الْحَطَبِ. So hamma. This is another case of ghunna. So like I said, 2 letters. Noon and meme. Whenever a meme has a shadda on top of it, or a noon has a shadda on top of it, you give it 2 or 3 seconds. So hamma, and then in the previous verse, wara'aytan nasa. Okay, and then again, hammalat al-hatab. There's another bay. It's a huruf qalqala, so you give an echo sound at the end. And then next verse. في جيدها حبل من مسد. Again, hab. Sorry, I didn't go over the harufi kalkula. Harufi kalkulas, whenever these letters have a sukoon on top of it, that's when you give it an echo sound. So, like I said, qaf, toin, deen, bay, jeem, and dal. So this bay has a sukoon on top of it, so you give it a little echo sound. So hab, habalun, habalun. Okay? And then idgham. Again, another idgham came in this verse. So fi jidiha hab lum lum. So like I said, the 4 letters of idgham are ye, noon, meen, and waw. So this is the meen came. So after the lam, a meen came with a shadda on top of it. So you merge those. So habalum, and then another meme came after that. So you would merge the meme into another meme. So habalum min masad. Okay. And then yes, those are so 4 rules that we went over is gunna, idgham, and harufi kalkala. Okay. Harufi kalkalas are qaf, toin, bay, jeem, dal. Idgham is merging 2 letters which have meme, waw, noon, and ya. And then gunna is a meme with the shadda and a noon with the shadda. Okay, move on to the next verse. Any questions that you guys have?
So the rule of when you have an alif, can you go over that too?
The rule of alif?
Yeah, when
Idgham?
when you have an alif, you try to prolong it a little bit.
Oh yeah, those rules are, I guess they add an extra, extra sound to them.
Okay.
So if you can give me an example, I'll probably.
Sure. Yeah, we go over this one.
Take it. So these are this. So we've done Surah Nasr, and then we did Surah Lahab, and this is Surah Ikhlas. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. So in these verses, there's a lot of dal, and they're all ending. So that means they are part of Haruf Kalkala. And you saw how I did the echoing sound at the end of them. So, Wallahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid, and then Walam Yulad. So on and so forth. And then, but one thing to notice in this verse is that when the name of Allah comes in a verse, and before that verse, a fatha and a dhamma comes before that verse, before the word of Allah, then you have to make it more thicker. So Allah, Allah. If there was a kasra or a choti there before Allah, then you would make it like thin. Okay. So in this case, so Qul huwallah, there is a fatha on the waw. So you would look at the fatha on the waw, and then you would see that there is Allah coming after the waw, after the fatha. So you would make Allah more thick. So Qul huwallahu ahad. Okay. So in this chapter, there's a lot of kalkalas on the dal, and then we'll move on to the next chapter. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. So in this chapter, there are a lot of rules, and there's another rule that we have to go over. So the first rule would be the qalqala rule. There's another, the letter qaf is part of the qalqala, our qalqala letters. So falaq, just like qul huwallahu ahad, the dal is qalqala, same as this qaf is qalqala. So qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq. And so new rule, next verse. So this new rule is called ikhfa. So this rule applies to every noon that has a sukoon on top of it. So in this case, min, the noon has a sukoon on top of it. So this rule says that if the letter after the noon sakin is every other letter except for the huruf halki, you have to do ikhfa. And huruf halki are ha, kha, ain, gha, and hamza, ha. So those letters, if those letters came after the noon, then you would izhar, you would pronounce the noon. But in this case, you were nasal sounding the noon. So mil, instead of saying min, you will say mil, and you will prolongate the noon. Okay? So it would be mil sharri ma khalaq. See how I went over the noon? Mil, instead of min sharri ma khalaq, it would be mil sharri ma khalaq. So the next verse. And then it says, again, the noon came with the sakin, and after the sakin, there's a, what do you call it, ikhfa. Ikhfa means to hide. So it's wa mil sharri. Okay? If there was a letter halki, haruf halki after this, haruf halkis are again ha, kha, ain, gha, and hamza, ha. So if it was wa min with and then a hey afterwards, then you would say wa min instead of wa mil. And then وَمِن شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ. Again, bay with the qalqala. Again, وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. So again, noon came with a sheen. Sheen is not a huruf halki, so you would go وَمِن شَرِّ, and then again, what do you call it? What was that? Gunna. A gunna came here. Gunna was again whenever a meme or a noon has a shadda on top of it, that's a gunna. So you would prolongate that for 2 to 3 seconds. So وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. And then the dal is a qalqala letter. And then again, in verse 5, وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. So again, noon came with a sukoon on top of it, and then after the sukoon, there's a sheen, which is not a huruf halki. So you would ikhfa the sound of noon. So وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. And then the dal with the qalqala. And then we'll move on to the next chapter. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. Okay, so in this chapter we have a lot of gunnas. So like I said, gunna is any letter noon and letter meme with a shadda on top of it. So you prolongate that for 2 to 3 seconds. So Rabbin Nas, Malikin Nas, so on and so forth. And then one more rule came in this chapter, which is what we call it, ikhfa. So for verse 4, if you can scroll down to verse 4. Yeah. So again, the min, the noon in the min is a sukoon on top of it. So you would ikhfa the sound of noon. So min sharril waswasil khannas. Okay, and then gunnas continue for the nas. So we went over, we call it 4 rules. The first rule is gunna. I would go over these rules again. So gunna is letter noon and letter meme with a shadda on top of it. You prolongate that for 2 to 3 seconds. And then I went over the rule for kalkala. The rule of kalkala is qaf, toy, bay, jim, and dal. All those 5 letters are considered huruf kalkala. If those letters have a sukoon on top of it, then you would give it an echo sound. Okay? And then we went over ikhfa and izhar. Ikhfa is our letter noon with the sukoon on top of it. If the letter noon has a sukoon on top of it and the letter after the noon is not huruf halki. Huruf halkis are hey, khay, ayn, ghain, and hamza ha. So those letters, if they are not after the noon, that means you would have to ikhfa the sound of noon. You would have to hide the sound of noon. So mil, and then if the huruf halki comes after the noon, then you would just say min instead of mil. And then what do you call it? We went over idgham. Idgham are once you see these 4 letters, which are ye, noon, meme, and waw, and they have a shadda on top of it, you would merge the 2 sounds. So, like the previous example, habalum mim masad. So the lam meme and then meme and then meme again. So lum mim. Okay. And these are a few rules that if we practice these rules, we should practice these rules in our daily recitation of the Holy Quran to make it sound better and feel better. Any questions from you guys? So the rule that you were talking about, the alif rule, as we can see, I think min sharril waswasil khannas, the alif in the nas. Is that what you were talking about?
I mean, do you prolong, like, I know there's the noon gunna there, right? But
yeah.
Do you also prolong because of the alif?
Yeah. So the rules for the prolongating are if you have kasra before a ya, a dhamma before a waw, and a fatha before a alif, you will prolongate it for another letter. So like khannas, so that's another letter added to the noon or the alif. Okay? So if the noon in this case had a dhamma on top of it, right, and then alif came, then you wouldn't prolong it, and you would just go over it. Okay? And another rule is that what do you call it? Vertical fathas, vertical kasras, and vertical fatha and vertical kasras. So those are also alif with a fatha and alif with a kasra. Okay? So if nas, if this came with a vertical fatha, then you will prolong it twice the alif, because that adds 2 alif. Okay? And then if it came with a vertical fatha and vertical kasras are the standing fathas and kasras. Okay? And another rule to alif is if alif comes with a mud, you know those long muds on top of the alif, they were prolonged 3 times the alif. Okay, so nas for like three times the alif. So those are the alif rules. If any other questions that you guys might have. I know in this we went over a lot of rules, so I would like to go over the rules again, so you guys could get them in your head. So could you go back to chapter, Surah Nasr? Yeah, let's do anything confusing that you want to ask? Maybe? Take. So in this chapter we have 2 rules. First rule is the gunna, and the next verse. Yeah, gunna is on the noon. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ. So then noon, you would prolongate it for 2 to 3 seconds. And then next verse. So one thing I would like to go over is, so go to previous verse. Yeah, so go to the verse so you can see this verse and the next verse. Yeah. So you see how where it says فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا, and it says فَسَبِّحْ. So once you zoom into the verse number 2, see the lam on top of the on the ayat sign? In this case, you can do 2 things. If there's a lam on top of the ayat sign, that means you could merge the next verse. So you could say, yeah, you can merge the next the verse, the jim and the alif and the fe. Okay, and then so you would say afwaja, and then fasabbih. In this case, you can't really merge it because there's no sukoon or or shadda on top of it. Okay? But the lam means that you can merge the 2 verses, or you could continue reading the verse instead of stopping at the verse. And then we went over another, scroll down. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ. No, not this one. Sorry, scroll up. Yeah. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْ. So dal has a sukoon, so we went over huruf al-qalqala in this one also. And then the next chapter. Yeah. So one more rule that I would like to go over since we have time is, so every ayat sign, that means you stop at the ayat and you make the last letter of the ayat a sukoon. Okay? So the ayat sign, they have different letters on top of the ayat sign. If they do not have any stop signs on top of the ayat, you could either stop or continue. Okay? But in this case, the point on top of the ayat sign means you have to stop. Okay? You cannot continue to the next verse. Okay? So tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. So you have to stop at tab. And while stopping, the bay has a sukoon on top of it. The fatah on the bay turns into a sukoon. So you would make that a qalqa sound, tab. And then we went over the rule of idgham. Idgham in lahabin. The waw is a letter of idgham, right? So you would merge those 2 sounds, bay and the waw. Bim. Okay. And then we went over another gunna, which is in verse number 4. right there. Sorry, go up. No, go down. وَامْرَأَتُهُ. Yeah, this one. وَامْرَأَتُهُ تَمَّ. The meme is also a gunna letter, so you would prolongate it for 2 to 3 seconds. And then continue to the next chapter. This is Surah Ikhlas, which has a lot of kalkala sounds. So every time you would stop at the dal, you would echo the sound of dal. So Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, because you're stopping at the dal. If you wanted to continue, so you wouldn't do that. So you would say Qul huwallahu ahadun Allahu samad. So scroll up. Yeah, you see how it says Jeen on top of the ayat sign. So in this case, you could continue the verse, but it says it's better for you to stop at the verse. Okay? So Qul huwallahu ahad, or you could say ahadun, because once you're not stopping at the verse, that means you would pronounce the sound of the letter. So it would be Qul huwallahu ahadun Allahu samad. And then next chapter. Surah Falaq. So the previous chapter had a lot of dal, what do you call it? Kalkala dals. In this chapter we have a lot of kalkala coughs. So